So we've been talking a lot about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 here on the channel, and there's a lot of opinions about the game because of specifically Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and what came out with that, with the features that are not going to be in the game, unfortunately. Now, if you missed all that content, I'll leave links down in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But the question I want to kind of cover in this video is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, is it a remaster? Or is it a remake? What is it? Because I think defining what this game is, I think that's the difference. The difference between whether to some extent how we look at this game, right? Because if it's a remake, then there's that angle where it's like, okay, well, they're remaking the game. If it's a remaster, then it should be completely faithful, like almost like a 1-for-1 remaster, at least as close as possible. And I think that'll at least help maybe put expectations a little bit more maybe in check. I don't know, at least for me personally, but like I said, it's subjective. Everybody's going to be different. Just check the comment section of my recent videos and everybody's all over the place. For example, like I said, with that feature missing from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, I got I'm going through all these comments, I'm reading what all you guys had to say, and you got some people that are like, I'm bummed out, but I don't mind. Like, I'm still gonna get the game, right? Some people are like, I don't really care at all. It makes no difference to me. Other people are furious. They're like, I'm not getting this game. I'm boycotting this game. I gotta make I gotta protest with my wallet, and just it's a deal breaker. I'm not getting this game. Everybody's across the board on this, and so it's just all over the place where in terms of like where everybody is at with that. So let's talk about this. What is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4? Because that matters. Now, I mentioned before, there's kind of like a short form that I noticed over, at least on the PlayStation Store. So if you go into PlayStation Store and you're choosing the edition, at least on PS5, the short form is TH34R, and then cross-gen, deluxe, so on and so forth. So why is there an R in there? Right, they're actually putting that. They didn't do that with 1+2 as far as I remember, right? So the short form TH34R, it sounds kind of like some like random like code for something. It's like, enter this code and you get a free emblem in game. No, but what's the R standing for? Is it remaster, remake? Well, here's the thing. They actually give us the answer. If you actually go to the description of the game, they give it to us completely. The first part of the description just says, everything you loved is back, but revamped. So maybe the R stands for revamp. No, not quite. You keep going down and you read a little bit more of the description. And one part says specifically, drop into new parks or tear it up across the timeless parks from both Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Authentically, here's the word, remade in jaw-dropping 4K resolution with streamlined goals and the epic 2-minute format. This is the same part of the description that we talked about in the previous video where we're like, oh no, the career mode, for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, it's not there. Sorry, I said that almost sarcastically. I didn't mean it sarcastically. Like, obviously I'm disappointed as well. I just said it like that because it's like, again, everybody's like all over the board and just completely not in uniformity in terms of, their view on that. Is it a deal breaker? Is it not a deal breaker? And even within that category, there's subcategories there. But anyways, so in that same paragraph, we hear that it's remade. It's remade in jaw-dropping 4K. Now, some people say, well, yeah, it's remade. They're building it from the ground up. They have to remake it. They're not just going to take the game, with that engine and just kind of remaster it. Yeah, that's fair. That could be just what, it's insinuating. But I think part of it too is like the fact that the rest of the description does say streamlined goals in the epic 2-minute format. They're really trying to sell that, the 2-minute format, by the way. The epic 2-minute format. It's epic. It's great. Love it. Anyways, yeah, so I think that kind of changes the perspective a little bit. Maybe, probably not. Most people are just, they're going to have their view on it either way, but it's not, these games are not supposed to be a remaster. They're not supposed to be, necessarily just a 1-for-1 remaster. And that's very obvious in other areas. Like, obviously we got brand new skaters. We have returning skaters, but we have brand new skaters as well. We have obviously the parks that are returning from these games, but we also have brand new parks like that water park that they showed off, right? They're adding additional content to this game. And yeah, it sucks that, like, you know, they're not gonna have that career mode that, you know, they're replacing with the 2-minute format. And I think that opens up another can of worms of like this whole other kind of topic that maybe we could discuss a little bit more, you know, in a different video, because that's not the main focus on this video. But it's, you know, it's kind of brings up the can of worms, like, well, what do you do with these big maps in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4? What do you do with the mini games? What do you do with all this stuff? I mean, like, do you just get rid of it? Is there another way to kind of go about it? How do you do this? And I don't know. I don't know right now, but that's something that, like I said, we could think a little bit more about and maybe flesh out in another conversation. But the point being is that, you know, they're saying it's remade. They're not, at least they're not marketing this as like it's just a remaster. I think there's a lot that they are going to be faithful with in terms of, you know, what they're bringing over. And when we see the comparison shots and stuff, like, it looks good. I mean, you got to admit, they're doing a really good job at kind of like, just kind of remastering, remaking these, you know, these environments and the skate parks and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's not a 1-for-1 remaster. It's a remake. And I don't know. I mean, does that matter? Does the terminology matter? Probably not to most people, because like I said, at the end of the day, most people are still, at the very minimum, again, for the people that it's not a deal breaker, at the very minimum, they are upset. They're disappointed. Most people, that there is not the kind of classic sort of, you know, career mode in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. And one of the topics came up, was like, well, if you can't use NPCs, right, maybe logistically, you know, logistic issues or whatever, why don't you just do like the PS1 version, like have like, what was it, like coins or whatever, instead of like actual NPCs? I mean, that's still like better than nothing, right? So I don't really know. I still don't know what's up with that and why they're not doing that. Some people are like, well, they're just being lazy. And I'm like, maybe, but at the same time, it's like, they're giving us new skaters and they're giving us new parks. And that the one new park we have seen so far, that water park, it looks good. It looks good. It looks like a big map. Now, is it gonna play well? I don't know. It might not play great. We're gonna have to actually play it. And I think that's kind of, you know, maybe Iron Galaxy kind of dipping their toes into the potentiality of, you know, can they make a new game? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's where they're going with it. But that also, you know, with the you know, dropping out of Tony Hawk Pro Skaters 4, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 career mode. Again, like I said in the previous video, seems like, you know, we don't have a lot of hope for Thug or Thug 2. And if they do this to THPS 4, assumingly they do this to Thug and Thug 2 potentially, although I think that would rattle people even harder than this one. That would be like, people would be really mad if they came out with Thug 1 or 2 and it wasn't faithful. You know, it would still be cool to revisit like those areas, but I would be like, dude, come on, give us the story in these games, and then in American Wasteland as well. But I don't know. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, it's not a remaster, it's a remake. Does that change anything in terms of like how you view this game? Or are you still like, listen, man, like remaster, remake, call it whatever you want. We need to have this as faithful as possible. And like, I agree, like I said, like, you know, I would much rather them delay the game and that, you know, they add the classic career mode to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 than to not have it in there at all. Again, for me, it's not a deal breaker, but it does seem like a deal breaker for enough people where, you know, I think maybe Activision should consider, hey, you know, maybe we push off this game a little bit. Maybe we try to actually add this, you know, be faithful with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4's remake, or remaster, whatever you want to call it, and include it. And maybe that's what they should do. Let me know in the comments below. Would you guys be for that? Would you prefer them delaying the game to at least add that? Or I don't know. Again, does the terminology of this being a remake change anything for you? Probably not, but I'm curious. Again, let me know in the comments, and we'll just we'll keep hoping for the best. Until the next one, friends. Game on. Thanks for watching.
Hey you! What are you doing? Join the Skeleton Army! Do it today! Don't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow might never come. The Earth is gonna fade, that's inevitable. The next second of your life's not even promised, so you better think about where you're going, and you might as well just join the Skeleton Army. Plus, we do kinda like you a little bit, so it'd be nice to see you around here. But if you don't want to, hey, your loss. See you later!